The deadline for registration under the Alien Registration Act is today. All foreign nationals present in the United States longer than 30 days must register with the federal government. Failure to comply with this is a crime, punishable by fines, imprisonment, or both. As President Trump and Secretary Noem have both said, if you register and you leave now, you choose to self-deport. You may have the opportunity to return later legally. But if not, you will be arrested, fined, deported, never to return to our country again. The Trump administration will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws. We will not pick and choose which laws to enforce. We must know who is in our country for the safety and the security of our homeland and for all American citizens.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to have a system, laws, rules, and them all to be followed for order and safety and protection. And Karoline Leavitt here shares how all foreign nationals present in the U.S. longer than 30 days must register with the federal government. And my apologies as I'm going through this edit this morning, and I realized that I put this overlay on the screen to show you the caption and read what Karoline Leavitt was discussing here so you could see it. And I realized it covered up a pretty substantial portion of the screen. So I hope that's not too distracting for you. Failure to comply with this is a crime punishable by fines, imprisonment, or both. If not, you will be arrested, fined, deported, never to return to our country again. And it's clear, if you're here, foreign nationals, for longer than 30 days, there is your warning. And if you want to break the rules and break the law, then there are consequences, and they're putting them out for everyone to know what they are ahead of time. And what they're not doing is they're not doing what the Democrats would do and the mainstream media would do of gaslighting and manipulating and twisting stories and lying to create a panic and a false sense of fear unnecessarily, unlike Don Lemon here.
How do you feel about them rounding up college students and deporting them?
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I'm on a visa and I try even not to talk about the topic because out of fear, you know?
Real, because you're afraid?
Of course, it could happen to anyone.
Are people afraid like you, college students?
Yeah, I think everyone is, yeah.
Why?
It just feels like the rhetoric has always been kind of very possible that it could happen, but it feels like now we hear about it happening every day.
How do you feel about tariffs?
Oh, God. Don't do that to me.
All right, thank you.
Don Lemon out here interviewing people on the street, pretending like he gives a shit about them or this country. And all he cares about is getting some form of viral moment of him being an absolute total fucking retard and loser that others can then share on their videos to then possibly trickle down to some views coming his way, because he is incapable of producing any form of natural virality on his own, mainly because he's a fucking dipshit loser. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to ruffle too many feathers. It's early. And what this interviewee just said says a lot. He says the rhetoric. It's like it could happen. Don Lemon's like, what do you think about them rounding up all these college students and deporting them? And he's like, you know, the rhetoric, it seems like it could happen. And you hear about it every day. I wonder why. Because it's not happening in mass. It's not happening in any way, shape, or form close to how they want you to believe it is. And the rhetoric that you hear about every day is only coming from people like Don Lemon and this liberal, leftist, Democrat, mainstream, legacy media BS bullshit. Or, again, Don Lemon, narcissist, only out there to stir shit up. He's not actually out there to help anyone. He's not actually out there to inform and educate. He's only out there to spread more of the propaganda, more of the lies. Oh yeah, and he's a narcissist. But this guy here is clearly telling him, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. And it's not because he's breaking the rules and breaking the law. It's just, let's just call it superstition. And he's literally, minding his own business, doing what doing the right thing. And then Don Lemon says, well, what do you think about tariffs? He's like, dude, I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to draw any unnecessary attention to myself. I don't want to jinx the fact that I'm here on a visa legally. It's kind of like if you're driving a car and you're obeying the law and the speed limit, the posted speed limit, you drive differently. However, there are some folks out there who are driving with suspended licenses, speeding excessively, doing all sorts of things that they shouldn't be doing. And they drive differently. They drive with a sense of paranoia and fear because they know that they're doing something wrong. Tell me I'm not the only one who's capable of understanding and realizing this truth here. Speaking of truth, I'm going to show you guys this one. Imagine being 78 with 5 children, dancing at the UFC, being loved by everyone. The left can't stand this. So much so, even to the point of making up stories, creating drama, or dragging shit out. For instance, did Trump ignore RFK Jr.'s wife? And this is one of the stories that I saw, the headlines that I first saw when I was watching Trump emerge from outside the tunnel at the UFC fight. The only non-fighter who has an entrance, I don't even think Dana White has an entrance, or Joe Rogan, or either way. I put this up on a community post and I asked you guys, did President Trump snub RFK Jr.'s wife, Cheryl Hines, while entering UFC fight? And if so, did she deserve it? We see the headline here. Trump appears to snub RFK Jr.'s wife, Cheryl Hines, while entering UFC fight and, or fights. Actually, there were multiple fights occurring. It wasn't just one. But, it's rhetoric, okay? It's all to the point of divisive rhetoric to try and take down the Trump administration. But what you have to realize is Trump is more than just a president. He's more than just a Republican. And he is actually MAGA, okay? He is to make America great again. I'm going to show you guys this comment here. This comment caught my attention this morning. And it says, I'm with Trump. This is Gator Hater, 1978. I'm with Trump all the way, 100% MAGA. It's not about one man. It's a new party. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's MAGA. And so essentially, when I see, and I'm about to show you guys some fucked up shit like this, it's not about Trump and it's not about Republican. It's about America. And folks like Adam Schiff and some others that I'm going to show after Adam Schiff just continue to prove the point of the fact that this rhetoric that we hear about, these exaggerated and over sensationalized stories and headlines, they're not actually, and again, these Democrats, they don't have any solution. They bring nothing to the table. You mean to tell me that, okay, you don't like President Trump, you don't like America, you don't like MAGA policy of deporting illegal immigrants out of this country, specifically criminals and known MS-13 gang members, to the point of which you would have some circuit court judge take it to the Supreme Court and then overturn President Trump's doings to then bring them back to this country. Make that make sense.
They plucked this man off the street. They deported him in violation of a court's order. They acknowledged they did it in error. They refused to lift a finger to bring him back. They taunted the judge, essentially, saying, it's your court order, let's see you enforce it. It was a mocking tone by the administration. They never offered to try to remedy their mistake. Now they're being told by the Supreme Court that they're going to have to remedy this. Will they pick up the phone, as we know the president could do, and call the president of El Salvador, with whom he is very close, and say, hey, we made a mistake, send this guy back? They're going to obviously be most concerned with what they're always concerned with, which is saving face. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence, but if they ignore this instruction by the Supreme Court and the fault by the district court, then we are really in that uncharted territory we feared, where they're simply flouting even a court order.
And speaking of saving face, I want you guys to look at this. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer covered her face while being pictured in the Oval Office this week, ashamed to be seen working with the Trump administration.
We're honored to have Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, great state of Michigan, and she's really done an excellent job, and a very good person. And we're working on the Selfridge, as you know, the air base. We're trying to get the air base open, keep it open. I think, Gretchen, if you're there, and Matt Hall, the Speaker of the House of Michigan. And he's been fantastic as the Speaker. I appreciate it. We won the state, Matt, and you helped me a lot.
I did, and you made me Speaker, so thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, I did. That's good too. And Gretchen, I think everybody knows. So we're working on that very hard, and I think we'll come home with a winner for Michigan, okay? I just spoke with the Secretary of Defense. Sometimes we call him the Secretary of War. It used to be called the Secretary of War. They changed it when we became a little bit politically correct. But I think we're in great shape. We're going to be in great shape. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Matt. Congratulations. Great job.
The New York Times wrote, quote, Whitmer had not expected to be there, standing in front of the cameras as President Trump signed executive orders. Ms. Whitmer, a prominent Democrat seen as a possible 2028 presidential candidate, had come to the White House to discuss funding for an Air National Guard base near Detroit and aid for thousands of Michiganders who had just been hit by an ice storm. Then, Mr. Trump's aides surprised her on Wednesday by ushering her into the Oval Office, not for her scheduled one-on-one meeting with the president, but for a politically loaded appearance before the press corps. She found herself an unwilling participant in his unending reality show with photos of her rocketing around group chats of Democratic strategists who wondered what on earth she was doing. The day after the inauguration, Ms. Whitmer penned a handwritten letter which has not been previously reported, congratulating Mr. Trump, saying she looked forward to working together and praising his support for the auto industry in his first address. According to a person who relayed the text of the letter, Ms. Whitmer included her cell phone number and invited Mr. Trump to call her if she could be of any help to him. Now, Red Wave Press, obviously we know which side they're on and how this bias has been clearly introduced into this description here. We also know that Gretchen Whitmer took to a press conference or podium appearance to support President Trump in his tariff agenda and bringing jobs back to America. But she's not okay showing her face in a photo because she's not actually looking to make any form of meaningful impact or improvement to the overall outside of her own party. You see how that works? That's number one. Number two, the press corps and their BS propaganda. Elon Musk knew that they were going to be spying on him, so he wrote down a message on a notepad just for fun, just to fuck with him. And they just don't get it. They don't realize they have lost the plot. And you can easily tell someone's intentions as they refer to President Trump as Mr. Trump.
I have to address something head on. Earlier this year, REI signed an outdoor industry letter supporting Doug Burgum as Secretary of the Interior. We were one of many organizations to sign and did so in an effort to have a seat at the table and continue our outdoor recreation advocacy. Many of you shared your disappointment and your frustration with that decision, and I hear you. Let me be clear, signing that letter was a mistake. The actions that the administration has taken on public lands are completely at odds with the long-standing values of REI. While this happened before I arrived at the co-op, I'm here today to apologize to our members on behalf of REI, to retract our endorsement of Doug Burgum, and to take full accountability for how we move forward. I'm also here to share that REI is more committed than ever to our fight to protect the outdoors and our public lands.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is this a situation, an instance of too little, too late? Or is this just a business decision and strategy to survive, self-preservation? So we've got some comments here after this post. The new REI CEO, Mary Beth Lawton, issues an apology saying the company shouldn't have signed a letter of support for the nomination of Doug Burgum for Interior Secretary and is now retracting their endorsement. However, Art Candy says, too little, too late. Donald Trump literally spelled this stuff out before he was elected. And as we scroll through here, we'll see comments that say things like, what good is your apology when we are here now? This is the problem with many people who cater to the Trump administration. Trump loyalty tests also show us who to oppose. Too late. Once you bend the knee in submission to a fascist regime, you can no longer be trusted. And this will eventually get through these idiots' thick skulls. Corporate apologies hit different when they follow the wind, not the facts. Trump spelled it out ages ago, backing his crew stains every name on the letter. Now they're scrubbing with water that won't clean blood. Fuck these gritty corporate sellout idiots. Y'all can go fuck yourselves. Another plane crash in Boca Raton this morning. Is REI a company I'm supposed to have heard of? I'm guessing this apology comes after a vocal revolt among REI's co-op members and customers. From that perspective, it's good news that consumer power is affecting political change. Keep the pressure on against all companies that got in bed with Trump. It's actually interesting. I stumbled. I struggled with that one a little bit because they spelled affecting with an E or effect instead of affect. And I was actually going over this with my daughter the other day about the difference between effect and affect. Anyway, sidetracked here. Nope. You hate the outcome. You knew exactly what you were doing. Keep them right next to Target. Exercise your buying power. And why would they think he was a good person to endorse? ? Everything except the last line is contrary to REI. The line was just wish casting and not a specific policy. And then they include this that says Burgum supports the fossil fuel industry, especially in the back-end region of Western North Dakota. He supports the Dakota Access Pipeline. He has said that American energy independence is an issue of national security. He derided what he called a full-on assault of liquid fuels in this country and has regularly criticized policies to subsidize electric vehicles. He called for opening Bureau of Land Management land for energy-related activities such as rare earth mining, rare earth metal mining, and oil and natural gas drilling. He promised to make North Dakota carbon neutral by 2030. And he said he would loosen regulations for the gas industry, but also said he is committed to clean energy projects. Following that, we see that this comment here says, at least they are realizing, but if only they had taken time to notice this or his stance on issues before he was chosen by Trump. At REI, her next step should be to resign. She regrets it only because it didn't get her the seat at the table she wanted. REI, as a huge corporation, has nothing in common with the actual co-op it started as, and it diametrically opposed values. Exactly. It's not like Trump and his goons hid their intentions. They could not have been more clear. This means nothing now. Surrender in advance has never, ever worked. You don't even need to be a reader to know this trope. Cop shows prove every day, look, man, just help us out and we will go easy on you in court. Always a lie. And this is nonsense. They knew. They just don't want to lose business now. Using an REI analogy, that's kind of like beginning to climb a mountain and then suddenly remembering after you're about 200 feet above the valley that you have vertigo. Another CEO with no clue. Why any progressive company would endorse anyone nominated by Trump is beyond me. The man and his platform should be given no accommodation or approval, implicit or otherwise. Nothing good comes out of it, and he won't respect you or give you anything for it. And so basically REI is losing money and she's reeling. Wow. These comments say a lot. That second to last one, why any progressive company would endorse anyone nominated by Trump is beyond me. The man and his platform should be given no accommodation or approval, implicit or otherwise. Essentially has just created this cognitive dissonance, essentially, that would stop anyone who's a Democrat, essential liberal, of accepting any good that could come from President Trump, period, because it's Trump. And that's fucked up. That's awful. That's terrible. Besides that, some of these comments really dragging this CEO under the bus, which I don't know if you guys noticed this or picked up on it when I first started reading. It says, new REI CEO Mary Beth Lawton issues an apology. So I go to my buddy Grok. I asked Grok, I said, Grok, new REI CEO Mary Beth Lawton issues an apology saying the company shouldn't have signed a letter of support for the nomination of Doug Burgum for Interior Secretary and is now retracting their endorsement. In her video apology, she makes it seem like she wasn't CEO at the time of endorsement. Is this true? And if so, then who was CEO? So Grok says Mary Beth Lawton in her video apology stated that REI's endorsement of Doug Burgum for Interior Secretary occurred before she became CEO, implying she was not in the role at the time. This is accurate. Based on available information, Lawton officially became REI's president and CEO on March 31, 2025, after the endorsement letter was signed in January of 2025. The previous CEO was Eric Artz, who retired before Lawton took over. Artz was leading REI when the company signed a letter supporting Burgum's nomination. So, going back to my original question, folks, is it too little too late, or is this a business decision? Because I would say yeah, sure, she signed it, she endorsed Trump, Burgum, whatever, whomever, I would say too little too late from the perspective of the left being libtards. However, since she didn't, and she's the new CEO and president, I can only say that this is a business decision. Yeah, business decision. And too little too late. What this woman really and truly, what some would prefer to say is, she can blow it out her ass. I don't know how I find these clips. They just come to me. They speak to me. Kind of like how this dude's girlfriend spoke to him.
How many guys have you got with in one night before?
Like 10. 10? Like 10.
You got with 10 guys in one night?
Well, it was before we dated, so it doesn't matter.
It does matter to me.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm being serious. When did you go with 10 guys in one night?
It was before we were dating, so it doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
No, it matters to me that you got with 10 guys in one night.
How long you guys been dating for?
It was before we dated.
It doesn't matter when it was.
Why are you angry? It's fine.
No, it's not fine. Who the fuck is her? Who is she? I don't even know her anymore. 10 girls in one night? 10 guys in one night?
We weren't dating, so why does it matter?
It doesn't matter when it was. You're just a hoe for the streets. She's for the streets. She's for the streets.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Jeez.
I mean, I don't really think it's that bad. We were dating. Understand, it just happened. Whatever happened.
It doesn't matter when it was. The hoe. For the streets. She's for the streets. She's for the streets. Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, he decided it was a poorly made business decision. And he decided to cut ties and part ways and move on. Detach. No longer be associated with this bad debt, bad choices, reckless behavior, insane body counts. Really? But I hope you guys are not thinking too little too late and are in fact making wise business decisions for yourself. Again, 100% free to call, free Medicare help aid assistance. Make sure you give our amazing partner Chapter a call. The number is on the screen. It is down below. Visit their website, askchapter.org/Kevin, and make smart choices, make smart decisions, save money. I don't think anybody here would be opposed to saving money, right? At least from the perspective of having the ability to have the opportunity to ask the questions and get the answers, to have the information and education available so that you can make sound decisions, smart decisions moving forward that you may not have necessarily known about before, especially considering how, I don't know, there's 24,000+ options and plans to choose from when it comes to Medicare. And sure, some folks may have preconceived notions about it, but it doesn't hurt to talk. And it's 100% free. Why not? Many of you have already called, have already experienced amazing help and success in saving money when it comes to Medicare and even having money put back into your Social Security. What's not to like about that?
And townhall.com says Karoline Leavitt's White House press briefing today cleared up a ton of the lies that the liberal media has been pushing about the Trump administration. So here's what we learned today.
My response is Chuck Schumer's lying again when it comes to actual voting policy to protect the franchise for the American people. Number one, there's this thing called Real ID, which every state in the country now complies with, which actually protects women who go through the process of changing their name. So Chuck Schumer's lying and he's gaslighting. People need to remember that back in, I think it was 2022, you had Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, who were up in arms when Georgia changed their voting laws, rightly, mind you, and they followed the Florida model when it came to election law. And they went down to Georgia calling it Jim Crow 2.0, and they were lying because the facts were more black people in Georgia voted in the midterm elections than in the history of the state of Georgia. So once again, the Democrats are gaslighting. They are lying. They should be joining us to protect the franchise of voting in the United States of America. One thing I'll add is we've had more than 30 million people come into our country illegally. We've already seen through the work of Doge that they have had access to register into all kind of programs. So all we're saying is proof of citizenship to make sure you're voting in American elections. This is common sense stuff. Once again, the Democrats simply are not serious. They would prefer to gaslight than do what's right on behalf of the American people.
Byron Donalds is right. They would prefer to gaslight instead of doing what's right on behalf of the American people. And this is actually going to be a two-part clip here. One, from the perspective of what Byron Donalds had said, the mention here of Chuck Schumer, and how we are probably going to have a lot more mentions moving forward of this Real ID situation, which is it's a non-issue. It's a nothing burger. It's a moot point. It's actually already been done, but which is ultimately untrue. It's entirely false. It is a lie. And I've got proof to show you. Elon Musk reposted this from Kazan D. Asidu. Maybe I said his name correctly. If I mispronounced it, it was not intentional. And he says, get this, 98% of Democrats voted against the House voter ID bill. 98% voted against it. Meanwhile, 84% of Americans support voter ID. Now, he goes on to share their arguments against voter ID and why they are weak. But more importantly, could you not provide a simpler and easier way of showing how a particular party is so un-American that 84% of Americans support it, 98% of Democrats voted against it? This is not a party that people want to be associated with. Like, you're literally doing the opposite of what everyone is asking for, and yet you wonder why you're losing. Now, that was part one. Part two is more of the gaslighting, the lies, the BS, the rhetoric, as they try to create this idea, this false reality, this narrative that President Trump didn't want to have anything to do with anybody black, anybody of color in his administration. So Byron Donalds was the most logical choice of them to go after and attack. But I don't know if you guys caught this. I don't know if you guys noticed this when President Trump was making his entrance, his appearance at the UFC fight, besides other things, which I'm sure the internet has definitely caught the internet's attention of last night. But hey, guys, remember, a few more months, just a few more months. All right. But what I noticed more importantly was this insane scene. It says Trump walks into UFC 314 with Dana White, Byron Donalds and granddaughter Kai. Crowd erupts for 47. The arena didn't just cheer, it exploded. President Trump made a thunderous entrance at UFC 314 in Miami, flanked by longtime friend and UFC CEO Dana White, who clearly knew the crowd would go wild, and they did not disappoint. Yeah. The Kaseya Center erupted the moment Trump stepped into view. Chants broke out, phones flew up, and the energy was electric. Even Shaquille O'Neal ran down to shake President Trump's hand. LeBron James would never. And this marks one of Trump's first major sporting appearances since returning to office, and it couldn't have been a more fitting debut back to the octagon. The man's a diehard UFC fan, and UFC crowds have shown him nothing but love for years. But did you notice Byron Donalds right there behind President Trump, supporting not only President Trump, but all of us supporting America? Yeah. They didn't want you to see that. They didn't want you to know about that one.
People love it.
They do. Well, and what he loves is mixed martial arts, right? I mean, he talks about watching these fight nights when he is not in the building. And President Trump making his way to the octagon yet again for a massive UFC pay-per-view event.
Got to talk to him about the fights. He really loves fights.
No doubt.
He loves it.
And I don't know if you guys caught that at the end, that last little clip there, that little segment of that clip. Who was so excited to see President Trump was none other than Dave Portnoy. Let that sink in. Thank you all for watching this video. And please, if you like it, like the video, subscribe. Thank you so much for your help yesterday. We have made quite an accomplishment here, considering. And it's all thanks to you and your help. I had an opportunity to read a lot of the comments that you guys left, and I greatly appreciate it. The channel is now nearing 219,000 subscribers, with last night's video gaining 28 subscribers in total net. And that was amazing, considering what had happened earlier in the day, in the morning. And I think I have an idea as to why, maybe, but I'll spare you guys the boring details. Make sure you check out the links down below in the description, all of which is 100% free for those who want free help and assistance. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.